The alien princess discovered the truth: the human warrior was her servant companion. Princess Lyrale walked through the crystal halls of her palace on Zephyria Prime. The morning light passed through the walls and made rainbow colors dance. On the floor, she loved this time of day when the palace was quiet and peaceful. But today felt different. Today, something was wrong. Marcus Chen stood by the large window in the throne room. His dark hair was neat, and his human clothes looked clean and proper. He watched the purple sky of her homeworld with careful eyes. For 3 years, he had been her friend and battle companion. They had fought side by side against space pirates and enemy armies. She trusted him more than anyone else in the galaxy. "Good morning, Marcus," she said in her soft voice. Her silver skin glowed gently in the morning light. Her long blue hair moved like water when she walked out. Marcus turned and smiled. "Good morning, Princess. The security reports are ready for your review." She nodded. Marcus always took care of these things. He was so helpful and smart. Sometimes she wondered how she had been so lucky to find such a good friend and ally. Lyrale walked to her private office. On her desk was a message crystal that glowed with urgent red light. She had never seen this type of message before. The crystal was marked with the seal of the Galactic Council. Her hand shook a little as she picked it up. The message appeared in the air above the crystal. It was a report from the Council's military division. The words made her heart stop beating for a moment. Subject: Human Servant Program. Assignment Status Report Agent Marcus Chen. ID: HS77 for non-assignment. Princess Lyrale of the Ethereal Court. Status: Active Service. Year 3 Classification: Servant Bond. Level Alpha Mission. Protect target under. Partnership Disguise. Performance: Excellent. Subject shows no awareness of true nature of assignment. Lyrale's legs felt weak. She sat down in her chair and read the message again. Then again. The words did not change. Marcus was not her friend. He was her servant. He was assigned to protect her, and she never knew. All this time, she thought they were equal partners. She thought he chose to be with her because he wanted to be her friend. The message continued with more details. The Human Servant Program was a military project. Elite human soldiers were trained to protect alien royalty. They lived with their targets and pretended to be friends or allies. The program was designed to build trust between species, but the alien targets never knew the truth. Marcus had volunteered for this program. He had been ordered to protect her. His friendship was fake. His loyalty was just duty. Everything between them was a lie. Tears fell from her silver eyes. She had shared her secrets with Marcus. She had trusted him with her fears and dreams. When she was scared, he comforted her. When she was happy, he celebrated with her. But it was all pretend. Lyrale heard footsteps in the hallway. Marcus was coming to check on her, like he did every morning. She quickly turned off the message crystal and wiped her tears. "Princess?" Marcus knocked on the door. "Is everything all right?" "Come in," she said. Her voice sounded normal, but her heart was breaking. Marcus entered the room. His brown eyes looked worried. "You seem upset. Did something happen?" She looked at his face. The same face that had smiled at her for 3 years. The same face that had looked concerned when she was hurt in battle. The same face that had laughed with her when they shared funny stories. Was any of it real? "Marcus," she said slowly, "I need to ask you something. Of course, you can ask me anything. Are you my friend by choice or by duty?" Marcus's face changed. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked like someone had hit him. "Princess, what do you mean?" "Answer me," she said, her voice getting stronger. "Are you here because you want to be, or because someone ordered you to be?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the floor. His shoulders dropped. When he looked up again, his eyes were sad. "How did you find out?" he asked softly. The words hit her like a physical blow. So it was true. All of it was true. "Get out," she whispered. "Princess, please let me explain." "Get out," she shouted. Her voice echoed through the crystal walls. "You lied to me. For 3 years, you lied to me. I never lied about my feelings, Marcus said quickly. Yes, I was assigned to protect you. Yes, I'm part of the servant program. But my care for you is real. My loyalty to you is real. What we have built together is real. How can I believe anything you say? Lyrali stood up. Her silver skin was now glowing bright with anger. You have been acting this whole time. You have been pretending to be my friend while you were really my servant. I was never pretending about the important things, Marcus said. He took a step toward her. When you were scared during the Battle of Nexus Station, I held your hand because I cared, not because it was my job. When you cried about your father's death, I comforted you because I wanted to help, not because I was ordered to. But you were ordered to stay with me. You were ordered to protect me. You were ordered to make me trust you. Marcus was quiet. He could not argue with that. I want you to leave, Lyrali said. I want you to leave this palace and never come back. I never want to see you again. Princess, there are things you don't understand. Dangers that are coming. I need to stay to protect you. I don't want your protection. I don't want your service. I don't want anything from you. Marcus looked like her words had hurt him deeply, but he nodded. If that is what you wish, I will go. He turned to leave, but stopped at the door. Without looking back, he said quietly, Be careful who you trust, princess. Not everyone in this palace is who they seem to be. Then he was gone. Lyrali sat alone in her office. The rainbow light still danced on the walls, but they no longer looked beautiful. They looked cold and empty. Outside her window, she could see ships moving in the distance. They looked like trader ships, but something about them felt wrong, dark and threatening. She tried to ignore the feeling. She tried to forget Marcus's warning, but deep in her heart, she knew that her troubles were just beginning. The crystal on her desk began to glow again. This time, it was a message from her security chief. The words made her blood run cold. Princess, we have detected enemy ships approaching our system. The Void Syndicate has been spotted near our borders. We recommend immediate security measures. Lyrale's hands trembled as she read the message. The Void Syndicate was the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. They had destroyed entire worlds, and Marcus was gone. She had sent away the one person who had always protected her, just when she needed protection the most. But it was too late to change her mind now. She had made her choice. She would have to face whatever was coming alone. The rainbow lights on the walls flickered, as if they too were afraid of what was coming. Marcus walked through the metal corridors of the orbital station. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. He carried a small bag with his few belongings. Everything else he had left behind in the palace. The princess had made it clear she never wanted to see him again. The human quarters were located in the lower levels of the station. Most aliens never came here. It was a place where humans could be themselves without having to act like perfect servants or warriors. Marcus pressed his hand against the security scanner. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, several other humans sat around a table. They were all part of the same program. They all served different alien nobles across the galaxy. Marcus called out Sarah Rodriguez. She was the captain in charge of the servant program. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was neat and clean. We heard what happened. Are you all right? Marcus sat down heavily in an empty chair. She knows everything, Sarah. The princess found out about the program. The other humans at the table looked at him with sad eyes. They understood his pain. Each of them had formed real bonds with the aliens they protected. Each of them knew how it felt to care for someone who might never know the truth. How did she find out? Asked James Park, a young human who served an alien diplomat on the Outer Rim. His face looked worried. A message from the council, Marcus said. Someone sent her the full report about my assignment. Sarah's face became serious. That should not have happened. Those reports are classified. Someone wanted her to know the truth. Maybe it was for the best, said Maria Santos, an older woman who had been in the program for 10 years. Living with lies is never easy. She felt betrayed, Marcus said. Quietly, she thought I was her friend by choice. When she learned I was assigned to protect her, she felt like our whole relationship was fake. But it was not fake. James said. We all know that. The program may assign us to protect someone. But the feelings we develop are real. Marcus nodded. I tried to tell her that. But she was too hurt to listen. Sarah stood up and walked to a wall screen. She pressed a few buttons, and images appeared. They were photos of humans and aliens working together, fighting together, living together. The human servant program was created 20 years ago, Sarah explained, after the Great War. Many alien species did not trust humans. They thought we were too violent, too unpredictable. The program was designed to change that. She pointed to a photo of a human and an alien sharing a meal. We do not just protect our assigned partners. We learn their cultures. We understand their fears and hopes. We become bridges between our species and theirs. But they do not know the truth, Marcus said. They think we choose to be with them. Some do, Sarah said. But the program is ending, Marcus. The Galactic Council has decided that it is no longer needed. You and the others here are among the last servant warriors. This news surprised Marcus. Why are they ending it? Politics, Sarah said with a bitter smile. Some alien leaders think the program is dishonest. They want all relationships between humans and aliens to be completely open from the beginning. Maybe they are right, Marcus said. Maybe Princess Lyrale was right to feel betrayed. Maria shook her head. You saved her life dozens of times. You learned her language, her customs, her favorite foods. You celebrated her victories and comforted her during her losses. How is that betrayal? Because she did not know I was ordered to do it, Marcus said. Were you ordered to care about her? Maria asked. Were you ordered to worry about her when she was sick? Were you ordered to feel proud when she succeeded? Marcus thought about this. No, those feelings came naturally. Then what you shared was real. Maria said, the program brought you together, but what you built was genuine. Sarah returned to the table. Marcus, there's something else you need to know. We have received intelligence reports about the Void Syndicate. They are planning something big. Marcus's attention sharpened. What kind of something? They are gathering their forces near Zephyria Prime. Our sources say they are planning to attack the princess's homeworld. When? Marcus asked. His voice, urgent, soon, maybe within days. Marcus stood up quickly. I have to warn her. I have to go back. She banished you, Sarah reminded him. If you return, it could cause a diplomatic crisis between humans and the ethereal court. I do not care about diplomacy, Marcus said. I care about keeping her safe. James looked at him with admiration. Even after she sent you away, you still want to protect her. She is angry and hurt right now, Marcus said. But that does not mean she deserves to die. Sarah pulled out a data pad and showed it to Marcus. There's more. Our intelligence suggests that the Void Syndicate has agents inside the palace. Someone has been feeding them information about the princesses. Security arrangements. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. That is why I warned her to be careful who she trusts. The problem is, she probably will not listen to warnings from humans right now, Sarah said. She just learned that her closest human friend was actually her assigned protector. She will be suspicious of all humans. Then what can we do? Marcus asked. We can gather more intelligence, Sarah said. We can try to identify the traitor, and we can prepare for the worst. Marcus thought about Princess Lyrale alone in her palace, surrounded by people she trusted but should not trust. The idea made his chest tight with worry. I trained for 3 years to understand the Void Syndicate, he said. I know their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. I know them because I needed to protect her from them. And now you want to use that knowledge to save her, Sarah said. Yes, Maria smiled sadly. Even if she never forgives you, even if she never forgives me, Marcus confirmed. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Sarah made a decision. All right, we will help you. But we do this quietly. No official support. If you are caught, the program will deny any involvement. I understand, Marcus said. Good. James, start gathering intelligence on Void Syndicate movements. Maria, contact our sources in the palace. I want to know who might be working for the enemy. What about me? Marcus asked. Sarah looked at him with serious eyes. You are going to do what you do best. You are going to protect the princess, whether she wants your protection or not." Marcus nodded. He felt better now that he had a purpose again. Princess Lyrale might hate him, but he would not let her die because of his mistakes. "There is one more thing," Sarah said. "The Void Syndicate has new weapons. Our reports say they have developed something that can break through ethereal court shields. The princess's defenses might not be enough. Then we need to get her off the planet." Marcus said. "She will not leave," Maria said. "Ethereal court nobility never abandon their homeworlds. It is against their culture." "Then we make sure the homeworld is safe," Marcus said simply. As the other humans began to work on their assigned tasks, Marcus stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Princess Lyrale was facing dangers she did not even know existed. Somewhere out there, enemies were planning to destroy everything she loved. He had failed her once by not telling her the truth. He would not fail her again. Even if she never wanted to see him again, he would keep her safe. That was what he had been trained to do. More importantly, that was what his heart told him to do. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if they were calling him to action. Princess Lyrale stood in the war room of her palace. Red lights flashed on the walls, showing the approach of enemy ships. The Void Syndicate fleet was bigger than anyone had expected. Hundreds of dark vessels moved toward her homeworld like a deadly storm. "Your Highness," said General Kravex, her military advisor. His gray skin looked pale with worry. "The enemy will reach our planet in 6 hours. We must evacuate you to safety." "No," Lyrale said firmly. "I will not abandon my people." "But Princess, you are too valuable to risk," said Counselor Varen, her oldest advisor. His voice was smooth and calm, but something in his eyes made her feel uncomfortable. "The ethereal court needs you alive." Lyrale had trusted Counselor Varen for many years. He had served her father before her, but since Marcus left, she found herself questioning everyone around her. Marcus's warning about trusting people echoed in her mind. "I want to review the old records," she said suddenly. "I want to know more about the human servant program." General Kravex looked confused. "Your Highness, is this really the time for historical research?" "Yes," she said. "I need to understand." She left the war room and walked to the Royal Library. The crystal shelves held thousands of data crystals containing the history of her people. She searched through them until she found what she was looking for. The first record was from 20 years ago. It showed her father, the Old King, meeting with human representatives. They were discussing the servant program. "The humans offer us their best warriors," her father said in the recording. "Not as slaves, but as dedicated protectors. They will live with our nobility, learn our ways, and become bridges between our species. But they will not reveal their true purpose," said another voice. "The alien targets will believe they are voluntary allies." "Is this not deception?" asked her father. "It is protection," replied the human representative. "If our people know they are assigned protectors, they may not form genuine bonds. The program works because both sides develop real feelings for each other." Lyrale paused the recording. Real feelings. Marcus had said his feelings were real, but she had not believed him. She continued watching. The recording showed detailed explanations of the program. The humans did not just protect their assigned partners. They studied their cultures, learned their languages, understood their fears and dreams. They became cultural ambassadors as well as guardians. The servant warriors will report back to human leadership, the recording continued, but not to spy, to help humans understand alien societies better, to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to war. Lyrale felt a strange sensation in her chest. Marcus had always been so interested in her people's history and customs. He had learned their ancient songs, their traditional dances, their religious ceremonies. She had thought he was just being a good friend, but now she realized he was being a good student. Another recording showed the graduation ceremony of the first servant warriors. She watched as young humans pledged to dedicate their lives to protecting alien nobility. Their faces showed determination and honor. These were not people being forced into service, These were volunteers choosing a difficult path. "We go not as conquerors or spies," said one graduate. "We go as guardians and students. We will protect our assigned partners with our lives, and we will learn from their wisdom." The recording ended, and Lyrale sat in silence. The library felt very quiet and peaceful. But outside she could hear the sounds of preparation for war. She accessed more files. These were personal reports from other alien nobles who had worked with human servant warriors. The reports were filled with praise and gratitude. "My human protector saved my life 12 times," wrote one alien prince. "But more than that, he taught me about human courage and determination. Through him, I learned to respect the human species. My servant warrior became my closest friend," wrote another. "When I discovered the truth about the program, I was not angry. I was grateful. The program had given me something precious, understanding between species." Lyrale realized that she might have been wrong about Marcus. Maybe his assignment had brought them together, but his feelings had been real. Maybe the program was not about deception, but about building genuine connections. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the palace. The enemy attack had begun earlier than expected. Lyrale ran back to the war room. The screen showed explosions in the upper atmosphere. The Void Syndicate was attacking the orbital defense platforms. "Princess," General Kravex shouted over the noise. "The enemy has broken through our first line of defense. They will reach the planet's surface in 2 hours. What about our allies?" Lyrale asked. "Are the other species sending help?" "Some are," Kravex said, "but they will not arrive in time." Counselor Varen stepped forward. "Your Highness, I have arranged for a safe escape route. My personal ship is ready to take you to safety." Something about his offer made Lyrale pause. "Your ship?" "Yes, Princess. I have been preparing for this possibility." "How did you know this attack was coming?" she asked. Varen's face changed. "For just a moment. I have good intelligence sources." Lyrale felt a chill run down her spine. Marcus had warned her to be careful who she trusted. Could Varen be the traitor? "I will stay and fight," she said, watching Varen's reaction carefully. "Princess." "That is not wise," Varen said. His voice was urgent now. "The enemy is too strong. You must come with me now." "No," Lyrale said firmly. "I will not abandon my people." Varen's face showed anger for a brief moment before he controlled himself. "Very well, but I must insist that you at least consider evacuation as an option." As Varen left the war room, Lyrale caught General Kravex's attention. "General, I want you to investigate Counselor Varen. Check his communications, his movements, everything." "Princess, are you sure? He has served your family for decades." "That is exactly why we need to check," Lyrale said. "Someone has been feeding information to the enemy. Someone who knows our defenses and our plans." While Kravex worked on his investigation, Lyrale returned to the library. She searched for more information about the Void Syndicate. She found records of their previous attacks, their tactics, their weaknesses. As she read, she began to understand something important. The information in these files was incredibly detailed. Someone had studied the Void Syndicate very carefully. Someone had spent years learning about their methods and their technology. The reports were signed by Marcus Chen. Lyrale felt her heart stop. Marcus had been studying the Void Syndicate for 3 years, not just as a hobby, but as preparation. He had been getting ready to protect her from this exact threat. She read more of his reports. They were brilliant. Marcus had identified weaknesses in Void Syndicate technology that her own military had missed. He had developed strategies for fighting them that could actually work. "Princess." General Kravex burst into the library. "I have terrible news. Counselor Varen has been communicating with the enemy. He is the traitor." Lyrale's blood ran cold. "Where is he now?" "Gone. He left the palace an hour ago." "But Princess, there's more. He has given the enemy detailed information about our defenses. They know exactly how to break through our shields." Lyrale felt panic rising in her chest. Without Marcus's knowledge and without loyal advisors, how could she protect her people? "General, I need you to find Marcus Chen immediately." "Princess, you banished him. He is forbidden from returning." "Then I am unbanishing him." Lyrale said. I need his help. I need his knowledge of the Void Syndicate. Kravex looked uncertain. Princess, are you sure you can trust him? He did. Deceive you about his true purpose. Lyrale thought about everything she had learned. Marcus had been assigned to protect her, but his feelings had become real. He had studied her enemies not to spy on her, but to defend her. He had dedicated 3 years of his life to understanding the threat that was now at her doorstep. He never deceived me about the important things, she said quietly. He never lied about caring for me. He never lied about being willing to protect me. I will try to contact him, Kravex said. No, Lyrale said, standing up with determination. I will contact him myself. I need to apologize. I need to ask for his forgiveness. But as she reached for the communication device, more alarms began to sound. The screen showed Void Syndicate ships entering the planet's atmosphere. Princess, Kravex said urgently, they are jamming all communications. We cannot reach anyone outside the palace. Lyrale looked out the window at the dark ships filling the sky. Marcus was somewhere out there, probably trying to help her, even though she had rejected him. But she had no way to reach him, no way to tell him that she understood now. She had realized the truth too late. Marcus had been the best friend she had ever had, and she had driven him away just when she needed him most. The battle for her homeworld was about to begin, and she was facing it without her greatest protector. Marcus floated in the cold darkness of space, wearing a stealth suit that made him nearly invisible. Around him, the massive ships of the Void Syndicate fleet moved like metal mountains towards Zephyria Prime. He had been studying these ships for 3 years, learning their weaknesses, understanding their technology. Now he was putting that knowledge to use. Marcus had left the orbital station 6 hours ago, against Captain Rodriguez's direct orders. She had wanted him to wait for backup, to follow proper procedures. But there was no time for procedures. The enemy fleet was already attacking, and Princess Lyrale was in danger. He activated his small propulsion system and moved toward the largest ship in the fleet. It was the command vessel, a dark battleship called the Death's Edge. If he could disable their command structure, the rest of the fleet would be confused and easier to defeat. Marcus knew the layout of Void Syndicate ships because he had spent months studying captured vessels. He knew their security systems, their ventilation shafts, their emergency protocols. The aliens who built these ships thought like machines. Everything was logical and predictable. That was their weakness. Humans were not logical. Humans were creative and unpredictable. Marcus reached the hull of the Death's Edge and attached himself to it. He pulled out a small device that could cut through metal. The tool was human-made, designed specifically for this type of mission. It cut a hole just big enough for him to squeeze through. Inside the ship, everything was dark and cold. The corridors were filled with a strange green mist that helped the Void Syndicate soldiers breathe. Marcus's suit protected him from the poison, but he had to move carefully to avoid detection. The ship was huge, with thousands of soldiers and crew members. Marcus was just one human against an army, but he had advantages that the enemy did not expect. He moved through the ventilation system, crawling through metal tunnels that led to different parts of the ship. He had memorized the layout perfectly. First, he would disable their communication systems. Then he would target their weapons control. Finally, he would reach the bridge and capture or eliminate their commander. Marcus reached the communication center and dropped down from the ceiling. 2 Void Syndicate soldiers were working at control panels. They looked like giant insects with sharp claws and multiple eyes. They were dangerous fighters, but they were not expecting an attack from inside their own ship. Marcus moved silently behind them. He had learned Void Syndicate fighting techniques by watching their battles. He knew exactly where to strike to disable them quickly and quietly. The first soldier went down without making a sound. The second one turned around just as Marcus grabbed him. There was a brief struggle, but Marcus was faster and more skilled. With the guards unconscious, Marcus began working on the communication systems. He inserted a small device that would scramble their signals and make it impossible for the command ship to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. Phase 1 complete, he whispered to himself. Next, Marcus made his way to the weapons control center. This was more heavily guarded, with 6 soldiers and an officer. Marcus would have to be more creative here. He waited in the shadows until the guards changed shifts. During the brief moment when old guards were leaving and new guards were arriving, Marcus struck. He moved like a ghost, using the confusion to his advantage. The Void Syndicate soldiers were strong and fierce, but they were trained to fight in formation, not against a single opponent who appeared and disappeared like smoke. Marcus used their own tactics against them, turning their strength into weakness. Within minutes, the weapons control center was secure. Marcus began shutting down the ship's main guns and missile systems. The Death's Edge was now effectively defenseless. Meanwhile, on the planet below, Princess Lyrale was fighting her own battle. The palace shields were holding, but barely. Enemy ships were bombing the city, and ground forces were landing near the capital. Princess, General Kravex reported, "Our defenses are failing. The enemy knew exactly where to attack. They must have had detailed intelligence." Lyrale thought about Counselor Varen and felt anger burn in her chest. "Have you found any way to contact Marcus?" "No, Princess. All communications are still jammed." Lyrale looked at the tactical displays. The enemy was using formations and strategies that looked familiar. She had seen these patterns before in Marcus's reports about Void Syndicate tactics. Suddenly, she had an idea. "General, do you have copies of Marcus's research files?" "Yes." "Princess, all human servant warriors submit regular reports. Bring them to me. All of them." Kravex looked confused but followed her orders. Soon, Lyrale was reading through 3 years of Marcus's detailed analysis of Void Syndicate military doctrine. The reports were incredible. Marcus had identified patterns in their attack strategies, weaknesses in their ship designs, and gaps in their defensive formations. He had basically written a complete guide on how to defeat them. "General," Lyrale said with growing excitement, "Marcus has given us the key to victory. Look at this." She showed him a section of the report that described a weakness in Void Syndicate fleet coordination. If their command ship was disabled, the other ships would retreat to predetermined positions, creating gaps in their formation. "But how do we disable their command ship?" Kravex asked, as if in answer to his question. The tactical displays suddenly showed something unexpected. The enemy flagship had stopped firing. Its weapons were offline, and it seemed to be having communication problems. "What is happening?" Lyrale wondered aloud. Back on the Death's Edge, Marcus was making his way to the bridge. He had disabled the ship's defenses and communications, but the most dangerous part of his mission was still ahead. The bridge was heavily guarded and filled with high-ranking officers. Marcus would have to be perfect in his execution, or he would be captured or killed. He crawled through the ventilation system until he was directly above the bridge. Through a small grate, he could see the enemy commander giving orders to his staff. The commander was a large creature with dark armor and glowing red eyes. Marcus had studied this alien psychology. Void Syndicate commanders were proud and arrogant. They believed they were superior to all other species. This pride was their weakness. Marcus dropped down from the ceiling in the middle of the bridge. The enemy soldiers were shocked by his sudden appearance. For a moment, nobody moved. "I'm Marcus Chen of the Human Servant Program," he announced loudly. "I claim this ship in the name of Princess Lyrale of the Ethereal Court." The commander laughed, a horrible sound like grinding metal. "One human against my entire crew. You are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both," Marcus said with a smile. The battle that followed was intense but brief. Marcus had trained for this moment for 3 years. He used every skill he had learned, every technique he had mastered. The enemy soldiers were skilled fighters, but they were not prepared for human creativity and determination. Marcus fought like a storm, appearing and disappearing, striking from unexpected angles. He used their own weapons against them, turned their formation against itself, and created chaos in their ranks. When the smoke cleared, Marcus stood alone on the bridge. The enemy commander was unconscious, and the crew was defeated. Marcus activated the ship's communication system and sent A message to the rest of the Void Syndicate fleet. This is Marcus Chen. Your command ship is under human control. You have 60 seconds to retreat, or I will turn your own weapons against you. The enemy fleet, confused and leaderless, began to retreat just as Marcus had predicted they would. On the planet below, Princess Lyrale watched in amazement as the enemy ships pulled back. General, what just happened? I believe, Princess, that your human friend just saved us all. But Lyrale's joy was short-lived. The tactical displays showed that Marcus's ship was now surrounded by enemy vessels. He had saved her world, but he was trapped with no way to escape. We have to help him, she said urgently. Princess, our ships cannot reach him in time, Kravex said sadly. Lyrale looked at the screen showing Marcus's position. He had sacrificed himself to save her and her people. After everything she had said to him, after banishing him and rejecting his friendship, he had still chosen to protect her. She had to find a way to save him. She had to find a way to bring him home. Princess Lyrale stood in the royal hangar, putting on battle armor for the first time in months. Her silver skin glowed with determination as she prepared for the most important mission of her life. Around her, the palace guards tried to convince her to change her mind. Princess, this is too dangerous, General Kravex said urgently. You cannot risk your life for one human. That human saved our entire world, Lyrale replied. Checking her weapons, he risked everything for us. Now I will risk everything for him. She looked at the screen showing Marcus's position. He was trapped on the enemy flagship, surrounded by Void Syndicate ships that were slowly closing in. The enemy fleet had not retreated completely. They wanted their command ship back, and they wanted to capture the human who had embarrassed them. Princess, even if we could reach him, how will we get him back? Asked Captain Thorne, her personal guard. Lyrale smiled. The same way he got onto their ship, with courage, creativity, and a little bit of luck. She had been studying Marcus's infiltration tactics from his reports. She understood now that human warfare was not just about strength or technology. It was about thinking differently, about doing things that the enemy would never expect. I am going with you, General Kravex said firmly. No, Lyrale said. You are needed here to protect the planet. This is something I must do myself. She climbed into her personal fighter ship, a sleek vessel designed for speed and stealth. As she prepared to launch, she activated the communication system. This is Princess Lyrale to all ships in the system, she announced. I'm going to rescue Marcus Chen. Any pilot who wishes to join me may do so, but I will not order anyone to follow me on this mission. To her surprise, dozens of voices responded immediately. Pilots from her own fleet, from allied species, even from merchant ships in the area volunteered to join her rescue mission. Princess, said one pilot, that humans save all of us. We will not abandon him now. Within minutes, a small fleet of volunteer ships had assembled around her fighter. They were not all military vessels. Some were cargo ships, some were pleasure craft, some were old and barely functional. But they were all willing to fight for Marcus. All ships. Follow my lead, Lyrale said as she launched into space. We are going to show the galaxy what it means to be loyal to a friend. The journey to the enemy flagship was dangerous. Void Syndicate patrol ships tried to intercept them, but the rescue fleet fought with desperate courage. They knew they were outgunned, but they refused to give up. Meanwhile, on the death's edge, Marcus was fighting his own battle. The enemy had sent boarding parties to retake their ship, and he was running out of ammunition and energy. He had barricaded himself on the bridge, but he knew he could not hold out much longer. Through the ship's communication system, he heard familiar voices. Princess Lyrale was coming to rescue him, leading a fleet of volunteers. The thought filled him with both joy and terror, joy that she had forgiven him, terror that she was risking her life for him. Princess, he said into the communicator, hoping she could hear him, do not come here. It is too dangerous. Save yourself and your people. But Lyrale's voice came back clear and strong. Marcus, I am coming to bring you home. You are not just my protector. You are my friend, and I never abandon my friends. The rescue fleet reached the enemy flagship just as Marcus's defenses were about to fail. Liralay's ship docked with the command vessel, and she led a boarding party onto the enemy ship. "Princess," Marcus called out when he saw her, "you should not be here. Neither should you." She replied with a smile, "But here we are, fighting." Side by side, they made their way through the ship toward the escape pods. Marcus was wounded and exhausted, but Liralee supported him, just as he had supported her so many times before. "I am sorry," she said as they fought through enemy soldiers. "I am sorry for not trusting you. I am sorry for sending you away." "You had every right to be angry," Marcus replied, firing his weapon at attacking enemies. "I should have told you the truth from the beginning. The truth is that you cared about me." Liralee said, "The truth is that you dedicated your life to protecting me. The truth is that you became the best friend I have ever had." They reached the escape pods just as the enemy reinforcements arrived. The rescue fleet was providing cover fire, but the situation was becoming desperate. "Princess," Marcus said, "there's only one escape pod left. You must take it." "We go together or not at all," Liralee said firmly. "The pod is only designed for one person." Marcus pointed out, "Then we will make it work for two," Liralee said. "Humans are not the only ones who can be creative." They squeezed into the small escape pod together. It was cramped and uncomfortable, but they made it work as they launched toward the rescue fleet. Marcus looked at Princess Liralee with amazement. "You came back for me," he said quietly. "You never left me," she replied. "Even when I sent you away, you were still protecting me." The rescue fleet escorted them safely back to Zephyria Prime when they landed at the palace. Crowds of people had gathered to welcome them home. The news of their adventure had spread throughout the galaxy, and suddenly everyone was talking about the princess, who had risked everything to save her human friend. In the days that followed, Princess Liralee made a formal announcement that changed everything. She declared that the human servant program should be transformed into a new partnership program, where humans and aliens would work together as equals. The old program was built on secrecy, she announced to the Galactic Council. The new program will be built on honesty and mutual respect. Humans and aliens will choose to work together, not because they are ordered to, but because they want to. Marcus stood beside her as she made this announcement. He was no longer her servant or her protector. He was her partner and her friend. "What will you do now?" she asked him after the ceremony. "I would like to stay with you," Marcus said, "not as your assigned guardian, but as someone who chooses to be your friend, and I choose to be your friend as well," Liralee said with a smile. The human servant program officially ended, but it was replaced by something better. The partnership program allowed humans and aliens to work together, openly, building real friendships based on trust and understanding. Marcus and Princess Liralee became the first official partners in the new program. They traveled together throughout the galaxy, serving as ambassadors for cooperation between species. Their story inspired others to form similar partnerships, and slowly, the galaxy became a more connected and peaceful place. Years later, when people asked Princess Liralee about the moment she realized Marcus was her servant, she would smile and say, "I learned that the best servants are those who choose to serve, and the best friends are those who choose to stay." Marcus would add, "And I learned that sometimes the greatest honor is not in following orders, but in choosing to care for someone who cares for you in return." Their friendship became legendary throughout the galaxy, a symbol of what was possible when different species chose to trust each other, support each other, and work together toward a common goal. The bond between them had transcended duty and become something greater, true friendship that would last for the rest of their lives.